Somehow we've reached a point in this country where minority populations have less power and representation than they did 60 years ago when the Voting Rights Act was first put into law. Allow me to explain. Earlier today, in a 6-3 decision by the Supreme Court, a proposed Louisiana voting map was struck down. But with this ruling came the upheaval and dismantling of several decades of political progress here in America for minority voters. Earlier today, in a 6-3 decision by the Supreme Court, a proposed Louisiana voting map was struck down. But with this ruling came the upheaval and dismantling of several decades of political progress for minority voters here in America. So this is basically how it all unfolded. Back in 2022, Louisiana drew their official congressional district map with one majority black district. But you must take into account the fact that Louisiana's black population is 33.1% of the entire population. So under pressure from federal courts, the U.S. District Court and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, claiming that this map violated the Voting Rights Act of 1965, Louisiana was forced to change that map to hold 2 majority black districts to reflect the black population of the state. I'm wholeheartedly willing to concede to the fact that this map was drawn with consideration of race, but it was done with the express intention of ensuring the minority population of Louisiana, a group of people who make up a sizable portion of the population of the state, weren't disenfranchised and deprived of their voting rights. And I really do believe that this type of nuance needs to be taken into account when interpreting the Voting Rights Act and any other constitutional amendment, but others didn't think so, with a group of non-African American voters suing, alleging that this revised map violated the Voting Rights Act. Although the case was initially heard in March 2025, after many delays, Louisiana versus Calusa ended in a 6-3 decision ruling that the revised Louisiana district map were an unconstitutional racial gerrymander under Section 2 of the VRA. But ironically, all this ruling does is severely weaken the power of Section 2, with Justice Elena Kagan suggesting in her dissenting opinion that the provision had been reduced to nothing but dead letters. Obviously not in the business of affording equal opportunity to each and every American, Donald Trump went on Truth Social and commended Samuel Alito for authoring this absolutely devastating ruling. And you must remember, with every Supreme Court case comes precedent. This now opens the floodgates for every single state to initiate their own redistricting effort and completely terraforms the political landscape. But more importantly, the voting rights of Black Americans and minority voters in this country are being gravely eviscerated and diluted as we speak. Now, any state could just draft up a not explicitly racially motivated map and in turn deprive millions of people from participating in our democracy. The survival of the American system hinges on whether we are willing to mobilize. It hinges on whether we are willing to defend and resist against those who wish to undermine the democratic ideals that define the American system. It hinges on whether we are willing to go hand in hand, arm in arm with people who aren't quite exactly the same as us for the sake of collective prosperity, and so that every single American, regardless of race, gender, nationality, is able to participate in American democracy.